Hello there, and welcome to the Raising Expert podcast. Today I've got Dalia Sarwat to talk to us. Dalia is a venture partner at Den VC. Hi Dalia, how are you?
All good, and you?
Yes, I'm very well. Listen, I'm really pleased that you've taken the time to come and talk to us. And getting really close to the action here, so I'm really interested to hear about your experience working with entrepreneurs and your take on investing. But first, let's get a little bit of an understanding as to who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, so thank you first of all of having me today. It's Dalia Sarwat. I'm originally Egyptian, just relocated actually to Scotland almost 2 years ago. I was in the UK, like in England before that, and when I came to Scotland, as I told you before, it's like I don't know, it has like a magical charm that I don't know. It's one of the places that I actually like, and I've never regretted the decision of moving in. I've been involved with startups for some time. My background actually comes, I used to work in fundraising, or I'm still working in fundraising, but for startups. Before it was at the American University in Cairo, more of giving and teaching people how to be philanthropic and giving back generally. It doesn't matter the amount, but just like giving back or giving people the chance to have actually what you have. And when I started working with NVC, it was because of the managing partner who's a very great friend and mentor. Walid has a great experience that actually helped us to have a very strong team where we enjoy being part of everything going on.
Okay, that's cool. And listen, what a great a great journey. You're more than welcome, and you're a great member of the ecosystem here
Thanks.
in Scotland. And I think it's great that there's people from different backgrounds that you know
True.
we don't all have the same paths, and I think we can all help businesses so much better by that. So listen, we'll talk about Den VC in a second, but why don't you tell us more about this role at the university and what you were doing? I understand it was fundraising and maybe a
Yeah.
slightly different coming from a different angle. But was that in the sort of entrepreneurship
It
space?
was in different things. Like I graduated from the same university, and I'm very proud actually alum from there. Um, AUC is one of the universities that change your personality. It helps you to be who you want to be. It's like more of a journey, more of an education. So when I joined the university in 2006, first of all, like I was interested to study biology. I started for a bit and then I changed. The American system is actually a bit flexible than the British one. So everything counts. It goes into credit hours. So I tried and I studied different things. And at the end, I graduated with a major integrative marketing communication and double minor business and psychology, which helped me like to understand people. So the psychology bit made me aware and I understand different things when it comes to us humans. And then after I graduated, I moved to London. I was volunteering with AUC, and when I went back, I started working at the alumni office, and then I was moved to the fundraising team. I started fundraising like first working at something called AUC Fund, which is a pooled fund that covers any deficit when it comes to the university funding priorities and needs. And then I was moved to the major gift, which was like any gift above $25,000. I used this was a great experience. I was lucky enough that I worked with diplomats, CEOs, high net worth individuals, corporates. So it gave me a glimpse of literally everything. I worked with petroleum companies, pharmaceutical, the different ones. The projects actually I used to fundraise for was either development in Egypt or in different countries, development project like water purification stations, research and development when it comes to technology or biotechnology, and scholarships, financial aid. So it was very diversified.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. That's really nice, and seeing innovation and
Yeah,
entrepreneurship from a slightly different angle as well.
true.
I'm going to come back to your minor choices as part of your
Yeah,
degree, and just to connect that, I turned up to do a business studies degree way back, way before you were a student back last century, and I wanted to do some psychology as part of that. So I
Yeah.
was going to do quite a lot of marketing without it becoming a marketing degree, and I was quite driven to do some psychology. Lo and behold, the psychology courses were all full by the time I got myself round to matriculating, and it was suggested that I should maybe try sociology. So I went a little bit disappointed to the sociology lectures, but
Really?
so
Why?
many times, well, because I wanted to do psychology. So
Yeah.
I was young, and I was like a little bit disappointed, and so however, very quickly I realized that sociology was really interesting.
Yeah. It is.
And even though they
It is.
started off on anthropology, so looking at other cultures,
Yeah.
and it took me a little bit of time to realize how powerful that actually was as a marketer, or as a business person, to understand our customer and be able
Yeah.
to empathize with different customer groups. And I actually probably reference those early sociology courses in my degree almost as much as some of the kind of core business and marketing stuff that I was doing. But I also see how, if I had done the psychology, I would have loved that. I've latterly kind of done it on a sort of amateur basis, if you like. And I would argue that all marketing undergrads
Yeah.
should probably think more about those social sciences, psychology, sociology, geography, history, even, than getting stuck straight into marketing courses. But anyway, listen, that's
It's
me. I'm
never
off
too
on
late.
one of my. I
Yeah.
No, it's never too late. It's never too late, and they do. And I've worked on some of these courses. Like consumer behavior courses. All
Yeah.
of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute,
Very
this is not
important.
real about
True.
marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so listen, we'll move. I'll let you move on from your
Yeah.
student days in a second. But why did you go for the American university? I mean, I'm sure you had lots of other options. Did you have what was the rationale behind that?
As I told you, like AUC actually it shapes your personality. So before going to the university, I was more of an introvert. Yeah, imagine. I was more of an introvert. So like you won't, I used to work like since I was 13, 14 years old in family business and going into like internships and different things, but still I wasn't the same person who I am now. So when I went to AUC, it helped me like to be who I wanted. Like, when someone asks you the questions, where do you want to be in 5 or 10 years? Really, they help me to reach even better where I wanted to go. So I'm very like happy I took the decision and I joined, and it was one of the best things I did in my life.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
brilliant and good for them. And I really like that ethos about the broad learning
yeah,
support.
yeah,
A life journey. That's so important. We don't realize that when we're like 17, 18, do we? You
yeah,
don't think it's just
exactly.
about what
Because
happens in the classroom.
yeah, and the good thing, like, and especially in the American system, that anything you study actually counts either in your electives or in your credit hours. So I studied most all the subject actually I liked, and whenever I feel I'm stuck, so I cannot take it as a major, it can be counted as a minor. So it was a very flexible system that suited the way I want.
Yeah, no, no, that's brilliant. Yeah, good, good. And those early years, so that education, but then when you went into the
Yeah,
fundraising job, it was an amazing way to develop those soft skills.
yeah.
Working with those people who were donating, and the corporates. I mean, what an amazing collection of corporates that you were exposed to at such an early
It
early
was like
stage in your
loads,
career.
loads, loads of corporates. So I worked with Apache, Shell, BP, like big, big names worldwide. And to be honest with you, I learned a lot of things. And there at the university as well, we do have loads of things. I still like, even though I'm not part of them now in the development or the admin thing, but still I say we because um, it's more of home, to be very honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really powerful that you still do that, and
Yeah.
it shows how connected you are with the
Yeah.
institution or the brand and the projects. And it's almost a test, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you say we further down the line.
That's because it's my degree. Like anything good happens to it, it's in my degree. Anything bad, uh, it's my degree as well.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
totally. You're right. Okay, let's talk about Den VC, and so we've kind of touched on it briefly in
Yeah.
your introduction. Tell us a little bit more about Den VC as an organisation and your role. So what are
Yeah.
you doing on a weekly, monthly basis?
So as I told you, when I like me working in fundraising was more of an higher institution or in higher education, like serving different departments and covering all the needs. But with then it's totally different. Then is more of something I really want to do. It's out of passion. The managing partner and all the team working there, they're more of we are very like a small family trying to make a difference in the ecosystem. So we are trying to combine both venture capital and accelerating program and combining our experience as well. So each one of us come from a very different background, and that's what we are trying to do with the startups we are actually investing in. So we are investing around 50 million in early stage startups. So the venture capital fund is also incorporated in Delaware and the US. We did the first close in May 2023 with $10 million, and we are working on closing before this year as well, and then the Q4. So that is quite different. We are not just investing in startups and just like waiting for them to grow. We are also trying to do our best in opening doors for them, giving them a different opportunities, sharing experience. So we have something called the Den Lounge and the Den Lobby. So wherever your startup is actually the stage you're in, we're able to take you in the 90 days program, depending where actually you are as a startup and the readiness of you as a startup and how we can help you. So it's a great mix. We don't just onboard any startup. We look for good ones with very, very high performing and great potential in them as well.
Oh, that's brilliant. So you get a real partner coming
Yeah,
on board with you,
exactly.
almost a team
Yeah,
member by the
yeah,
sounds of it, or multiple team members, as
exactly.
you say, if you're kind of got varied backgrounds and
Yeah,
experiences. And you've got a Delaware HQ, so
yeah.
a US business. But what about the geography that you're looking at for the businesses you invest in?
So it's more of the Pan-Arab region and Africa regions as well. Because the thing is, and as I told you, I'm originally Egyptian, and we do have great startups over there. But the thing is, I do believe, in my personal opinion, they didn't get a proper chance. So there's great companies and great entrepreneurs who actually don't have all the facilities that we have here in the UK or in the US. So we are trying to give them a chance just to go and explore. And the thing is, they go like they rapidly grow. Like we do have one of the companies, I believe when we met, I told you about it's called Prothenia, and they are growing rapidly and expanding in different countries. They are now more in like 5 countries, and they are exploring different options as well.
No, that's brilliant. It must be so exciting, and I think you're right. Across the globe, there are
Yeah,
certain hotspots that everyone talk about, certain ecosystems. So I think you're doing great work to maybe shine the spotlight on different
yeah,
economies and support them. And the nature of that is there's lots of great opportunities out with those
there
really
is.
real hotspots,
Yeah,
isn't there?
yeah,
And
true.
and what about industries or categories? Is there anything that you're particularly keen on
Yes,
or
to be
avoid maybe?
honest, one of the things like we're looking for sector agnostic, it's a sector agnostic fund, so we focus on education, automotive, health, fintech enabled, e-commerce, and the technology part is like the deep tech, AI, the tech enabled ones, the one that has actually a future. And there's it's a sustainable business. It's not like a one of just solving one thing and that's it.
Hmm. Okay, so anyone in those sectors or all those sectors is worth checking
Yeah,
you out. I'll make sure that I put the your details in the show notes,
Sure.
because maybe, and for the rest of this conversation, this, but just as to underline it, mostly the audience are entrepreneurs who are raising investment now, or are maybe thinking about it in the near future. So maybe the next little section is kind of advice for them. So that's great. It's like, well,
Yeah.
go and have a look. Um, let's imagine though that you were sort of a UK business. Is it still worth engaging with you, or is the kind of the geography,
Definitely.
is that yeah, okay, cool.
I personally, as Dalia, like I want to share my experience because I did work in different countries, and when it comes to startup, I did actually mentor. I'm also part of the Help to Grow scheme here in the UK government. And the thing is, like, knowing the requirements here and like the requirements in the Middle East and the GCC area, it helped me a lot because, by the way, what's a priority here is not a priority there, and vice versa. So that's one of the things. Like I remember when I attended with you the pitch, the angel investment, the pitch day. It was good, but the thing is, for any business in the UK, if they're exploring going into the GCC or the Middle East, there are some tweaks that should take place. So that's one of the things that I usually see here, and they are a bit of it comes to a surprise for them when they don't see why people are not actually happy with the product, why they're not amazed as people in the UK because priorities differ. And that's one of the things, if anyone is willing to expand, they should be also open to tweaking the requirements, making sure they are serving the need. Then that's one of the things I usually advise any startup. Go for the need, not for the want.
No, wise words, and thanks for that sort of positive, open door attitude to say, listen, get in touch, and I'll make sure that people can connect with you directly on
Anytime.
LinkedIn as well, and they can see your background, and based in the UK, but to have those insights is so valuable. So anything you can share with people, and I guess that's what this conversation is about
Yeah.
here, that we could get some of your thinking out there to an audience, because most of the businesses I talk to genuinely do have a desire to internationalize
Definitely.
at some point. There's usually an aspiration to scale. There's probably easier markets to go
Yeah.
into first. As you've done. The US
And cost
market is
efficient,
really
by the
simple.
way. So
Yeah.
that's one of the
Okay.
things. If you see, like, I was phoning my bank and then I found an Egyptian lady, like, I know it from the accent. So when I was talking to her, I told her, where are you based? She told me in Egypt. And then when I was thinking, because maybe the cost of labor in different countries is quite reasonable, not like, for example, the UK. So everyone now should actually explore operating, for example, in one place and serving another, depending on how to be cost efficient and sustainable as well.
Hmm. Yeah. No. No. Totally. I'm with you on that. But your previous points comes back to my experience of anthropology, as
Yeah.
I understood it as a very young student, but those really quite nuanced differences in cultures, isn't it? So we can
True.
charge on with our
Yeah.
UK focused or Scottish focused even
Yeah.
understanding of the consumer, but it just has to be subtly different, that
Yes.
actually you're not going to hit the mark if you go into these different markets. So okay, let's get kind of turn the table a little bit, and this entrepreneur audience that I talk about, maybe they tick the right boxes. You've seen the
Mhm.
initial pitch deck, or whatever the engagement has been. Can you tell us a little bit about what you and your colleagues are looking for in the companies, and maybe the founding team? I don't
Yeah.
know if you have any thoughts on that.
So first of all, like after the due diligence and all like the bits and pieces, we make sure that everything is right. We look for a company where actually the founders and the team over there, they work like hand in hand. Just it's not the sake, it's not an idea, no, it's not a bubble. It's something sustainable where it's worth investing, worth actually having them on our portfolio. So that's one of the things, and I'm very proud with everyone we have, and we are still going to onboard more depending on our strategy. So that's one of the things. And I remember once we were having in a gathering, a meeting. So all the companies and all companies on the portfolio, what they do, we complement each other. So we keep on thinking and brainstorming together. It's more of a teamwork, people working under a big name. And then as well, like we all open doors for each other. And that's one of the things we do, like how they are going to collaborate, what's like their expansion plan, where they want to go, where does they see themselves in the future, how actually they are open to change and adjusting as well, because that's very important. If you see like big companies, so for example Kodak, when they didn't jump on the train and like work on their company, like they are not even there. Nokia, BlackBerry, different things. So when you don't have the capacity of changing and accepting the change around, you're not going anywhere.
No, but great points, and those are classic case studies now
Yeah,
that we look at. But I think you're totally right that those attributes, characteristics, have to be in place right at the very start. You
true.
know, that collaborative mindset or adaptability, because if they're not there in the original founding team, you know, what's the chance of them then being in place when we're much bigger and it's much
Yeah,
harder to change direction, isn't it?
indeed.
So yeah, no, those are really valuable, and maybe I'm not sure if you laid this out in your intro about Den. So more than an idea, totally with you.
Yeah.
So they've maybe shown some traction or so on. How would you describe that in the sort of product development stage? Or, you know, we often hear people talking about annual recurring revenue. Have you got a sort of threshold for that as well?
We do, as I told you, like we actually focus on early stage companies that like follow the pillars that we want to, well, like it's more or less when they are in the pre-seed or seed, like very early stage. Because it's
Okay, so
always good
pretty
when
early,
you
yeah.
try um, to develop something at a very early stage. It's easier, and we tend like when we share our actual experience and different backgrounds, they learn and they actually succeed more than we expect.
Yeah, no, that's cool because we hear it's such a broad definition.
Yeah,
Early stage for some people,
yeah,
early stage is £1 million or $1 million turnover and more, but then early stage for some real
yeah.
startups are like, well, you know, I've not actually sent out the first invoice yet. So
Hmm.
but that's good to know that you've got an appetite to be engaging with people at a pretty early stage. This is maybe quite broad, and this is the positioning of this podcast, if you like. What advice would you give a founder just setting out on the fundraising journey? Are there maybe two or
Yeah.
three things that you've seen that people have done very well, or people maybe often miss out from your viewpoint?
So two things actually that I see very important, and whatever country I did work in, I see like entrepreneurs actually falling into this trap. So first of all, you are not the first one to do anything. Just do your market study very well and know this. Like stop saying we are the first people who does such and such, because no, that's not true. You have to do your market research and to know what's your USP first. That's one thing. The other thing as well, you have to know your readiness. So how ready you are actually to go into the market. That's one of the things that people don't realize, the readiness of their business before pitching and exploring, like, and what are you giving as well? Like, is it more of an equity? Do you need guidance? Do you need, so what are the funds for? A lot of people, when they come on fundraise, they just want like a fancy office, or they want, I don't know, to go here and there. That's not the thing. Focus on what do you want the money for. Is it like for your business? Is it to buy a product? Is it, what is it exactly for? Not fundraising for the sake of just fundraising. That's one of the things that I see most common in all the countries I've worked in.
That's interesting, and listen, you know, people like me and people that do my job, and I guess from your side of the fence, there's a little bit, you know, we try and give that advice, but
Yeah.
they are um, fairly consistent mistakes, if you like, that we do see that. So yeah, I'll try and reinforce that, and hopefully people listening will say
I
right,
wish, I wish, because they
yeah,
usually
I
what
know,
they do is You know what? They go in the crowd. Just know your like your strength and try to look for other opportunities. Don't just keep on digging and trying to do the same exact thing. Just go for a very unique thing, know your USP, and then go for it.
Hmm. Yeah, no, good advice.
Thank
And I think your comment about competition is so true. And I've heard a lot of people say that. The fact is, there's not many sort of broad services or product that
you.
aren't being satisfied right now. What people make the mistake is that the job to be done, if you like, is probably getting done just now by some other thing.
Yeah.
So that's the first point. And the second point is, yeah, how comprehensive is your market research to say nobody else in the whole world? Because, this conversation has been really
Hard.
quite global.
Yeah.
Maybe, that in Dundee or Scotland or the UK and London, you can
Yeah.
say there's nobody doing it. But listen, you can get blindsided really quickly from someone, especially in digital products, because people just appear from nowhere. And I think it's often just a form of words to say, isn't it? This is what we're doing. We think
That's
this
the
is
thing.
unique,
That's the
but
thing. Like I would
yeah.
advise anyone to like put away competing with others and what everyone's doing and how we're doing better than them, but what actually you're doing better than you were last year. That's one of the things. Compare it to yourself, not to anyone. Like it's good to know the market and it's good to know your competitors, but don't always like be narrow-minded, just like trying to compete with everyone and ignoring what you're focusing on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's cool. We'll reinforce that. I think,
Yeah.
I'll chop this down and get some sound bites. And I think in that little session, we've got them there. You've given us some little
Yeah.
nuggets to work with. In our domain, sort of advisory, entrepreneurship, for a while it was virtual reality, but now we can't look or read anything without hearing about artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And connecting that with our last point, you could say this is completely new. So if you're working in that domain, it's completely new. It's not,
Mhm.
because we've had other tools, and since the start of the printing press or whatever, how we gather information and how we process it and so on through the computer age. But this is a question I've been putting to people, just to add to the debate a little bit. How do you think AI is going to impact what you do, and how do you think it's going to change what we do in this space over the next couple of years? I mean, things are changing so quickly that 2 years are going to be really
Very. Yeah.
quite significant. What are your thoughts?
So, like for AI, as any other thing, anything new, by the way, we human have resistance to it. So that's one of the things. Like now, as my mom came over, so we went for some shopping. She's used to like going into the shopping stores and seeing different things. With all the stores now closing down and moving to an online platform, it doesn't give you an option of exploring and having like the look and feel of different things, but it's how good you can actually adjust to this. So the drawback is you don't see the physical things, and the good thing is like you save time, you save money, like parking and going here and there. So it's how you want to utilize and use the things. So AI can help us. Like now, if you want to like write an email, you can just go on ChatGPT or any tool and just like write few lines, and they can draft something where you can then proofread. But before that, you can take like a couple of an hour or so, like, depending on how important it is, and then it can take you some time just to write a document. So I think it's like time saving, energy saving, cost saving as well, because you don't need to have, for example, an expert just to write something for you, someone working in PR or in marketing. You can just like work it off online. So it all depends how you can use it in your own favor. And that's the adaptability I was telling you about, how people can adapt to change in their own favor.
Yeah, no, totally. I'm with you on all that. And yeah, we've not really solved the problem of the bricks and mortar
Yeah.
retail, have we?
Yeah.
It's interesting that not everything is going to completely move to digital. It's not 100% solution.
Hmm.
You're right. We still like analog. We still like some of those experiences and the human engagement of the
Yeah.
retail environment. Um, but so many things we've spoken about have come back to a mindset, and I think as an investor, as an employer, I think that closed mindset to say AI is not going to affect my sector, or it's not, I don't
It
need it,
will.
or we don't need it. I think you're right.
It will, but you have to
Well,
think how to make it, how it will affect in a positive way. Because it's here, and it's good just to come on board and try to make it in your own favor.
yeah, and I think that's certainly what I've come round to in my own thinking. And as you see things develop, you realise what an amazing tool or tools
Yeah,
they are, or what's available to you if you can, find a way to work in a positive way
true.
with those tools. But yeah, there's always going to be some people who are resistant. I understand that.
They will come later on.
Yeah, I think it's you're trying to stop something that's pretty huge. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
you're right. If you resist it, they probably will have to come.
true.
Listen, we'll put that into the wider debate about AI and the pros and cons. But listen, I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you so much.
As I say, I'll signpost listeners to some of those different resources and so on that you've mentioned, and keep up the good work.
Thanks. Thank you so much,
Thank you very
Sandy. It was
much.
a pleasure being with you today.
Thanks.
Thank you.